Your voice is breaking. Am I audible? No, can't hear you. Can you hear me? Dr. Yash, can you hear me? I can't hear you.
Am I audible now?
Yes, Dr. Yes, you are audible.
Oh, so sorry for the technical glitches at my end. So I welcome you to session 2 of day 8 of this 15 days online refresher course. The virtual dais today is graced by the auspicious presence of Dr. B.S. Patil, Babupada Patil. Welcome, sir. Before handing over formally platform to you, I just quickly introduce you to the gathering. Dr. Patil presently is an assistant professor and has been a part of the institution for last 2 decades. He is also faculty of LLM program of Research Center of the college, and he is the director of the Moot Court Society of the college. He is also on the editorial board of the Salgaonkar Law Review. He is also a member of the steering committee of the Child Rights Clinic of the college. With the expertise he gained in the law of arbitration and the other alternative dispute resolution systems like mediation and negotiation, he initiated several seminars and workshops. He was instrumental in developing a competition on negotiation and making VM Salgaonkar College of Law one of the pioneers in teaching ADR skills. He has also the credit of developing modules for teaching skills of negotiation and mediation. He has also been invited to organize the prestigious national rounds of Louis M. Brown Client Counseling Competition and to train the participants for the same. He has been the director of the Legal Aid Society and has been involved with the systemization of the whole scheme of the legal aid in the institution. And he has also been instrumental in organizing various human rights, including seminars, certificate courses, national level court competition, ADR competition, etc. He has been involved with various research projects on improving access to legal aid as a part of building integrated approach, which is funded by the United Nations Development Fund for Women in the year 2006, and also with the project on the access to justice, study of law school-based legal service clinics, funded by United Nations Development Program and the Government of India in the year 2011. He has also been part of the UGC initiative of e-Pathshala by contributing to the e-content on access to justice for the postgraduate law students. His lectures on the selected modules are available at UGC website. He is a visiting faculty of LLM program on human rights and ADR's certificate program at Shivaji University, Kolhapur, Maharashtra. He has also been empaneled as a resource person in the Karnataka Institute for Law and Parliamentary Reform, Bangalore, Government of Karnataka initiative. He graduated from the University of Karnataka University, Dharwad. During his postgraduate, he specialized in labor law. In 2011, he was awarded doctorate by the Goa University for his thesis titled Human Rights of Disabled, a Critical Social-Legal Study in Contemporary Goa. He is a member of the international organizations like Global Alliance for Justice Education and also South Asian Forum of Clinical Law Teachers. He has he has a lot of interest in research projects, and under his name, he is having various research projects as well. His research interest is basically on the alternative dispute resolution mechanism and clinical legal education. Without further ado, I hand over the platform to sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And just one final test. Am I audible? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So this is something which we have to do because I end up engaging a lecture which nobody is hearing. That has happened during pandemic, and this is something which the pandemic has taught us. Pandemic had a lot of bad things, but one good thing about it is it has pushed us 10 years ahead when it comes to technology. And all the things that we are having now at a bare minimum cost is because of the innovation was always there. These platforms were always available, but we were not open to these ideas. And this idea, it was forced onto us because of the pandemic situation. Thank you very much, Dr. Ash. This is something we are meeting now online. Otherwise, we had an opportunity of meeting, and I had been to your institution quite some time. but this is also this something is better than nothing. So thank you, and thank you very much, Divanshu and Droid Pinale, for inviting me and engaging the lecture. And today I realized that I'm sharing the platform with the Doyen of Legal Education, Dr. Vijay Kumar. So this is quite humbling for me to share the day with my teacher. He's been my mentor. I have not been direct student of him, but all the time he's been my guide and mentor. So thank you very much for the opportunity. And now I will be sharing my idea about this 21st education, 21st century education. And I'm going to discuss my idea into 8 different discussions. So I have 8 different points for discussions, and I'm going to take up those discussions one by one. The number is very important. The moment I reach the discussion number 7, you know the near is end. So that's why I always give you how long I'm going to keep you with me. That's something which I always make it a point to convey you. I thank you very much for your responses for those Google form which I had shared with you, and it was a very humbling, and you had given overwhelming response to those things. And I must admit that a lot of thinking process has gone in responding to those questions. There were 3 questions which I raised, and there is a purpose behind those 3 important questions that I have raised. The question number 1 was why I teach. And when I say why I teach, I'm not talking about teacher as a community, but a teacher as you individual, why I am into the teaching profession. And I'm very happy to see that there were 2 important perspectives which came out. One was regarding dedication towards the profession, and another one, interestingly, a kind of loyalty towards oneself. So why he chose, there were, or why he or she chose, there were very intricate reasons were there, and they were all personal reasons for which they have chosen. I would definitely share some of those responses with you all. Second question was regarding what do you mean by this new age, 21st century, what it actually brings you, and as a teacher in 21st century, how it is different from the earlier century. So there again, I got responses from you all. And the last one was regarding the skills that are required for your students and for yourself to survive in this 21st century. Now, keeping these questions in the background, let me start the discussion for today. And I will share my screen so that you will be able to, just a minute. Yes. Okay, again, one more inquiry. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I have just the question, the topic here is new age teaching methods and skills in higher education. So I just broadly named it as education in the 21st century. Now, when you're looking into new age teaching methods and skills in the higher education, we have to keep certain things in mind. First of all, the human race, human being, human race has undergone many revolutions. One was like a Copernicus revolution, where Copernicus stood up and said, Earth is not the center of universe. It takes around, it goes around the sun. And it's only one small particle, and it is not flat, it is round. He was burnt for saying those things because he was questioning the biblical belief. There was a revolution which brought in Enlightenment period, where people started questioning, understanding the science. Science got precedence over all other thinking process. So the human being became more rational human being. Then there was an industrial revolution. the industrial revolution brought its own challenges, its own needs, requirements, and its own advantages. And now we are in another revolution called communication technology revolution, where things are going at a breakneck speed. Things are changing so fast. What was existing and what is going to be existing tomorrow, nobody knows. But that's the situation of this 21st century, where we are into another kind of a revolution, and I don't know where it is going to take us. Now, when we talk about this revolution, 21st century revolution, on industrial revolution, education has been part of all this revolution, and how the education coped up with this revolution. So ancient time, we had a Gurukul system. This Gurukul system was the best system because the teacher and the student were together 24/7. They shared the bread, bed, as well as education. But that system had its own limitation. The limitation was the number of students which a teacher can engage with. It's not more than 4 or 5. It was impossible for a teacher to deal with more students, more children, or more students. So that was the limitation. But what happened was industrial revolution brought in demand for more qualified, educated workers. So that our old system was not working. So we brought in a new system, and we call it as education in 19th century, or we can say the schooling system. Now the schooling system had its own procedure or method. Now, if you look at this, there were two outcomes. One is the standardization. Industry wanted a standardized product. A clerk means a clerical educated person is required. A workman, he needs to be technically sound and need to know certain part of the work. So they wanted a certain set of educated people. So what we did, we put 3 S's together. Same age, we gave them same material, and we assessed them on the same scale, that is examination. So we did all the 3 things same. And then we worked the education as a assembly line. You might be remembering assembly line is a setup in a factory. So when the car has to be manufactured, it has to pass through an assembly line. So at one place, the engine is fitted into the body, another place bonnet is fitted, and another place doors are fixed, and then it goes further, windscreens are fixed, and then finally it comes out as a car. So it goes from one place to another place, and in the meantime, it becomes a complete car. Similarly, a child joins in room number 1 and comes out from the room number 10. It moves from one room to another room, and then at the end of the 10th room, we call him as a higher education or educated person. So that is what was assembly line that we had created. It had its own drawbacks, no doubt, but this drawback had its own advantage. I'll come to the drawback, but let me understand my audience today. So I had asked a question, and let us try to understand your response to it. According to you, what's a new age teaching? This is the question which I raised, and the responses were really, really great. And I have just picked a few, and I'm very sorry if some of the good responses are missed out, because there are so many responses. And here is the one response from Saresh Kumar Naik. Generally, participants have not given the name. He is one exception. So he mentioned about in the new age, that is in the 21st century, flipped classroom, project-based learning, cooperative learning, problem-based learning, critical thinking. These are required. So what he's looking at the new age teaching compared to assembly line teaching, there is some kind of a difference. We are looking at it. Now, see, what I'm talking about is the people who matters, the teachers are of this opinion. Now, what is the opinion? There needs to be a lot of change in our approach to the teaching. Look at the second one, blend of classroom teaching with LMS, outcome-based learning, skill development, inculcating confidence. Now look, Are we speaking of knowledge here? There is no place for the knowledge. See, LMS is a learning management system. Now that's the utilization of the present artificial intelligence into learning system. Actually, when I was going through this whole preparation, I realized that there are many jobs in the world which are at risk. The jobs which robots can perform, the human beings would be declared unfit for that job. Like surgery. Surgery is highly precision work, and robots can do much better than a doctor because the robots' hands don't shake. Robots don't have emotions. Someday when doctor has a bad mood, he may commit mistake in his operation, but robots don't do that. Surgery is definitely a job at risk. Doctors may become redundant in near future. But there's another job which is secured. What is that job? That is the post-operation recovery process. See, once the operation is conducted, the patient needs to recover and is put in a ICU and later into a special ward. And there, a nurse would be coming, taking care of the patient. The physiotherapist would be coming and taking care of it. That cannot be taken over by artificial intelligence. The simple reason why doctor's job can be taken over and not this. Here, human touch is required. So after an operation, when the patient is supposed to recover, the human touch, exchange of concern, and a nice exchange of what do you call it as pleasantries, greetings, is going to help the patient to recover faster. So what I mean to say here is one job is at risk, but other job is under security. Now, what about teacher? Is teaching job at risk? I will leave the answer to be given by you. I have my own opinion on that, whether teacher's job at risk or not. I think you can also type in the chat box and give your opinion. Can the teaching be taken over by artificial intelligence? So let's see what you all feel. But anyway, it's not my concern now today. So LMS is a learning management system, and that's a beautifully developed system which is going to be part of this whole learning exercise. And it's going to break down the senior and junior, what do you call it as the divide. Now, the major divide between senior and junior is the knowledge. And LMS is going to manage the knowledge. It's going to manage it in such a way that what a senior has learned by browsing through thousands of pages, the artificial intelligence will read and convert that into, say, 1,500, 1,200 words and give it to the reader. So your effort, years of effort, can be completed in a matter of minutes. So that's what LMS is about. Classroom teaching and LMS is going to coexist. And in those situations, what should we do as a teacher? That's a biggest question. Technology is involved and technology-based scientific thinking. That's again an important one. So new age teaching is to provide learners individualized learning to make students think critically, teach which is creative and intuitive. Again, please remember, knowledge has no place. Here we are talking about individualized learning, critical thinking, creative thinking, and intuitive thinking. Now, I feel the last word, intuitive thinking, is more of confidence, because only confident person can believe his intuition and work according to his intuition. So that's the confidence, that's the difference that can bring that difference. Now, if you look at this, the critical thinking, study skills, independent, creative thinking, technology, blog. New age teaching is about modernizing, recalibrating teaching methods to ameliorate the changing world demands. It is about delivering the teaching is more effective and environmentally adaptive way. Now here we are talking about teaching adaptive skills. Now, that's something which we never thought of, and we don't know how to do it. But at least there's someone in this group who is listening to my lecture has thought of it, that adaptive skills are most important in coming future. As I said, once the doctor's role or surgeon's role is taken over by artificial intelligence, surgeon has to find some way to function, some place to survive. That's where this important adaptive skills becomes relevant. So now here I'm talking about, if you look at the third or fourth line onwards, it is to be said that teacher who tries to teach what he knows best is no longer an expert, but rather an entertainer, says Dr. James Domenico. The same statement has been put up by another participant also. Now here, what is happening here is, again, our role is being ridiculed by people because we are sticking to our traditional role. In 21st century, traditional role is not going to work. We need to evolve. We need to evolve. We need to adopt. So if you continue to do the same thing, you would become an entertainer rather than a teacher. New age teaching has made teachers not merely teachers, but they are facilitators. They use appropriate resources and opportunities to create learning environment and allows each child to construct his or her own knowledge. Now, this is what I call it as a learning by construction and not instructions. All the time we believed that our job is to give instructions and they should learn through our instructions. Now here is a man or woman, sorry for my ignorance, but that person is of the opinion that the creation of knowledge should be one's own act. It should not be fed into that person. He should learn on his own. New age teaching, teacher facilitate the learner both in classroom and out of the classrooms. See, conclusively, what I can say is that when we talk about the old traditional teaching method and the future teaching method, there is nothing going to be similar because there is a huge change that is coming in 21st century. And thanks to pandemic, the approach of the new thing has become faster than expected. Actually, when I joined the teaching profession, and that was in the last century, I am a product of last century education system. So I started teaching in the last century, and I learned computers. I learned the Word document, PowerPoint. Then I felt that enough of learning. With this new knowledge, I can retire comfortably. But go to see, even now, I have to cope up with the new developments. Now, Google Form, I have learned how to do the Google Form and how to communicate, how to analyze, how to tabulate. Now, there is no end to learning. So that's what I have understood, that 21st century is a never end to a learning process. And please remember, when I say learning, I'm not talking about learning in your field. Now, your field may be law or maybe some other field. Learning in that field, yes, that's a necessity of your profession. But I'm talking about learning the areas which you are very much unfamiliar with. And there you have to venture and learn it. So that is what is about the education system that exists today. Now, this is what I wanted to bring to your notice, that education system has to change according to the revolution that is taking place in the world, change in the society that is being taking in the world. But old system doesn't mean that they are bad. They did their service. But now clinging on to the old system is not advisable. It's time to move on. Now, if you look at the old school factories, that assembly line concept, it brought education to the masses, which was unheard of. Gurukul system could provide education to only top brass in the society. If you take the Varna system, the top Varna were eligible for learning this through that Gurukul system. But school factories brought education to the masses, which was unheard of which we could not imagine. But that's a radical step. But now question to be asked here is, what next? How we are going to progress to the next level? The drawback of this school system was they killed the potential of human beings. See, human being has an unlimited potential. Every person has their own potential. But those potential have been successfully killed in our schooling system, because here we don't allow the idea of free thinking, independent thinking. We strongly put in permission culture. You want to go for a loo, take permission. You want to enter the class, take permission. You want to talk, take permission. With that, what happens is the person's independent mindset gets restricted. His ideas don't fly. It requires, it waits for the permission. So that's why this school system has killed human potential. But to give you an example, 2/5 of high school students, when they enroll into college, we conduct the remedial classes because they are not fit for college education. To make them fit, we conduct remedial classes. So that means what happened in the school is not enough for them in the college. Now, from the college, when they pass out, 100% of them undergo the training program by the company to make them market fit. Because what they do in college, they don't make them market fit. So therefore, industries and colleges are spending crores of rupees in training these minds who have come out of this school factory. So these are the drawbacks with the school factory. When a research was conducted for a high dropout in schools and college level, when generally asked to the teachers why there is a high dropout, the teachers felt the dropout is high because they are not able to cope up with the work of the class. We give them so much of work that they can't cope up and they quit. But when the research was conducted, most of them quit because classes are boring for them. It's not relevant to their life. It's not relevant to their career. They can't connect with the concept and the teaching. Lack of motivation from the institution is the reason for the dropout. And many, the one who participated in the research, they said that if they want, they can get graduated. But they don't want because there is no motivation behind that. Now, see, this is the disconnect that is there between teaching community and the student. So that is where we need to work on. So the suggestions which I received for the question that what would be the teaching methods in the new era, those methods are definitely going to help the dropout rates. So looking into these questions of teaching and how to go about it, I will share with one of my favorite examples. And at the end of this example, I'm definitely going to interested in asking you the question that how many of us would dare to go ahead with this daring innovation. This is going to be my third discussion. This innovation is done by a professor called Sugata Mitra. And his innovation, he fondly named it as a hole in the wall. And literally he made a hole in the wall. So Sugata Mitra was an IIT Bombay professor, and there was a wall separating the Juggi Jhopdi, what you call a slum, from the institute. So what he did, he put a hole in the wall, the compound wall, and inserted a computer in that. In that hole, he broke open the wall, pushed a computer in that, and secured it with mesh and left it there. Now I'll show you how it works. This is how he made it. So deliberately he kept the computer at a lower level so that elders cannot see, and he put the protrusion outside the like a parapet so that it's not comfortable for them to stand and watch. They have to bend to read out. So like this, he put a hole and put the computer, and there was a mouse with the computer. So later it became a government program also, because they were inspired by him. So it was introduced in Delhi also. So what is the result of this? When a computer which no children have seen in their lifetime, they were playing in the mud, they were playing dirty games in the mud, and they are muddy, dirty. They suddenly saw something in the wall and they ran to that screen. And now see what happened. The puzzle which the hole provided, the computer provided, was cracked in 2 minutes. Children understood that the mouse, which when they move, the arrow moves on the screen. And then they cracked the puzzle that if you click on anywhere you want, it starts surfing the web. So in 2 minutes, they started surfing the web. By evening, they started surfing the web. So within a limited time, they achieved it. See, please remember, nobody taught them. What was given to them was an opportunity. So there is no instruction, there is construction. And they achieved it. I'm talking about slum dwellers. Then he went to second phase. What he did, he put some information on genetic diseases like diabetes and other genetic diseases, and asked the children to again browse through the whole information that has been provided. They were not able to read, but they could able to see the picture and understand what was there in that. And after 2 months, he conducted a random test. The result was 0 to 30%. Is it a good result? Not enough, because if you push them to a formal examination, they wouldn't pass the exam, because 40 is the minimum passing, or 35. They wouldn't have passed. So he felt that his test, his experiment is not giving the desired result. So he had to modify his experiment. So what he did, he came up with a modification, a very interesting modification. He introduced grandmother to the system. Now, grandmother doesn't mean they were old ladies. He caught hold of the same slum dwellers, collected some adolescents of 15, 16 age, the girls, and he asked them that when they surf the web, you stand next to them and encourage them. Now, encourage them in the sense, shabash, excellent, what you're doing is good work, I'm proud of you. Some encouraging words from these ladies of 15, 16 years of age. With that, the result increased from 30 to 50%. So 0 to 30 became 30 to 50. Please remember, again, there is no instructions. So first, opportunity was given. Second, appreciation is given. Now with the opportunity, they did well. With appreciation, they are quite ahead. Now again, 50% is not great result. So he went ahead with another modification in the room. So he kept opportunity, he kept the encouragement, grandmothers, and then what he did is he broke down the rules. So what he said is one computer would be given to 4 students. Not that we cannot afford, but one computer to one student would not give the desired result. One computer to 4 students. That's what the Matt Ridley wrote in his Wall Street Journal. One child in front of a computer learns little. 4 discussing and debating learn a lot. So then the result increased to 76%. So from 0 to 76 was reached without instructions. First, opportunity. Second, encouragement. Third, collaboration. He ensured that children collaborate with each other, cooperate with each other, learn together. Now 76%. Then he was not happy with the result. Sugata Mitra went for final attempt. Now, what he wanted to do is he wanted to check whether the learning is superficial or it's a deep learning. So what he did is he went and conducted the same test after 2 months, just to see whether how much they remember. The result remained same. So deep learning plus maximum retention, what was achieved in this experiment. So the final outcome is not through instructions, but through constructions, we should learn. That's the best way of learning. So that's the deep learning technique. So now if I go back to the findings of my small survey of participants, I find that most of us are talk of knowledge. Most of us talk of passion. Most of us talk about the teaching. But what should we do is something different. So no matter how much artificial intelligence is going to play a role in our life, they cannot say shabash to my children. To our children, shabash should be said by teacher only. Then only the shabash has a value. Otherwise, it is not going to be appreciated by the children. So therefore, our role is going to work, continue to work, provided we change ourselves from teacher to facilitator, motivator, and other role. So that is what is required as a teacher. So let me move on to the next survey. Now I'm going to assess the question why I teach. So when I asked this question, I was mentioning knowledge, maximum people repeated that word, that they teach because they gain knowledge by teaching. Some passion is another second, the other, I think that's more used than knowledge itself. Then research, reading, these are the words that has been used. So now I will take you through some of the things. Now, if you look at the red, what I have made, they are the one which are interesting me. Rest of the things, why I teach, when I ask, I was expecting two approaches to this. Are you loyal to the profession? And the second one is, are you loyal to yourself? Now that's very important question. Now let me take up the one of the response. So let me look at this. The one which is in red, the whole thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 entries are made. He or she are in the teaching profession because it gives them income. That's loyal to oneself. Stability of family. Yes, loyal to oneself. Noble profession because it gives him respect. Identity, work satisfaction, unending learning process. Now let us see whether he is or she is loyal to the profession on himself. Look at unending learning process. Are you sure that you are continuously learning new things? Or is it just that you are repeating the same what you have learned last year and you are repeating the same thing to this year batch also? If it is so, that means you are not loyal to the sixth point, unending learning process. So this question, why I teach, I asked you not to assess you, but to think in the line that are you really doing exactly the same thing why you joined this job? Earn income. Now, earning, is it the salary only way we can earn as a teacher, or there are other means of earning? If income is your concern, then why can't you expand your income beyond the salary? You're not doing it. That means you are not sincere with the first purpose of joining the teaching. Stability of family, I will not comment on that because I don't know you. Noble profession, yes. How much of nobility you brought to the profession as a person? Now that's a very important thing. Now, if you look into the last one, improve quality education. change the lives of the students. That's an excellent way of looking at the profession, why I teach. But have you done it? Have you achieved it? Are you on the way of achieving it? That's a question that you should keep asking yourself. So when I ask the question why I teach, I never wanted any kind of responses, or I should say, hiding your fear or favors. You should have spoken with. I like this person who wrote, I joined the profession because I wanted income. I wanted to make wealth. Correct. There's nothing wrong. Making wealth is not wrong. But are you doing it? Now, that's a question. If you are doing it, well and good. If you are not doing it, then the purpose for which you are joined, you're not performing. Hobby. Now, if you go down, there's a written, the Swayam ke Gnan ko Badawa Dena. That's again continuous learning. Now, hobby. Now, here again, one thing which I want to mention, work cannot be your hobby. See, hobby is something you do it in your leisure time. Hobby is something which provides you an energy, rejuvenating energy to continue with the work. That's hobby. Hobby cannot be work. From your hobby, you may earn. You may make some income. But the moment hobby becomes your work, then it gets converted into your passion. It doesn't remain hobby anymore. So that's why I had a little bit of worry about the word hobby when it's been used. A clear career path, salary benefit, job security, great for families. Excellent responses. Because whenever I see honest, sincere person, I really, really feel nice about that guy, because he is not a person who's hiding things. He's openly telling. So a clear career path. Yes, he knows what is going to be next year. There's a career path. But are you walking on that path with the proper velocity, speed, or you are lagging behind? Are you doing what is necessary for your progress in the profession? Salary benefits. Again, I'll come back to the income. So are you relying on only one income or multiplying the income in the teaching profession? I'm not asking you to start a grocery shop. I'm asking you to explore. And again, please remember, tuitions and other thing I'm not suggesting. I'm suggesting explore different ways of improving your income. Job security. Yes, that's very much. And that's one of the reason if you are here, that's very good, because you need not worry about tomorrow. Great for families. Now, again, my question here is, it's great for families, it's great for you, but are you utilizing it for that purpose for which you joined the profession? So, exciting, joyful, update, latest, innovative, interactive, research oriented. So they have given many purposes, reasons for joining this profession. And I'm really felt elated by looking at the varieties of the answers. So coming to the next discussion, I will take you to the discussion number 4. Now here one more thing which I like to share with you is being a God believer. I believe teaching is a way in which I can connect with God. So he looks at teaching as a path to find the God. That's very unique way of looking at the teaching. I never looked at teaching as that way. I had a different approach to the teaching altogether. Now, if you're looking at teaching as a service to the God, or a path to reach to the God, then definitely you must be a different teacher from rest of us, because you take teaching as a puja, you take teaching as a worship, and definitely you must be a different person from that. And children must be really lucky to have such teacher. And again, my question here is, if you're really doing it, great. If you're not, it's time to think in that line and start doing it. Help them to become eligible for livelihood. So they should be able to earn the livelihood. That's again a great way of looking at your profession. So moving on to the next one, 21st century as unknown future. Now, If it is an unknown future, how you are going to survive in this future? How much it is unknown to us? Now let me give you a simple example. How the world was in 1777 during Shivaji time. How the world was later during British time. How the world was before that during Kalinga or the Krishnadevaraya time. How the world was. Almost, I have covered 4 centuries. From 12th, 13th centuries till 18th century I have come. But world had not changed much. Agriculture was almost same. The way the war was fought same. Only the Muslims came, the Britishers came, the Hindu king came. Only the political system was changing. But everybody knew that society will not change. It's going to remain same. So when I went through 4 centuries, things hadn't changed much. The way the tree was cut down was same. The way the house was built, same. The way the roads were constructed, same. The transportation was same. No difference at all till the Industrial Revolution came. So therefore, when I know how the world is going to be in next 50 years, I know what to teach my children. So if I am an agriculturist, without any fear, I will tell my child that how to plow the field, how to rear the animal, how to milk the cow, everything I will teach because that is what is required. That's how my son is going to survive. And I know nothing is going to change. But now in 21st century is not the same. Things are different in 21st century. Now I'll tell you how it is. In the beginning, the last of 20th century, or the beginning of the 21st century, there was an innovation called pager. Some of you might have heard the word pager. A pager is an instrument where they used to get an instruction and the phone number is to come. So that is someone is trying to contact you on this from this number. So you run to the nearby PCO. Again, some of you don't know what PCO is. The PCO is a local telephone booth. You run to the telephone booth, call that number. Pager went out of business within 5 years. Before it could reach every human being, it was out of circulation. Who killed pager? Telephone, the mobiles. Then we had a organizer. I think some of you might have received organizer as a New Year gift. You have to sit 4 or 5 days filling in time the telephone numbers, names, addresses in the organizer. Gone. Who killed it? Mobile killed it. Then we had a camera. Gone. Who killed it? Mobile. Then we had PCO. Gone. We had camera rolls and developing of the rolls. Gone. Who killed it? Digital cameras and the mobiles. So what has happened here is every new innovation has no long life as it was earlier. So if you invent a telegram survived for 100, 200 years. Now we invent one thing and it doesn't survive 10 years. It gets redundant. It goes out of circulation. Now that's the speed with which we are progressing. That's the speed with which we are growing. Now in this, what you are going to teach your child? If you teach him a skill today, tomorrow the skill becomes redundant because some artificial intelligence will come or some other technology will come and it makes it redundant. Then what you are going to do? So investment banker. Now apps can do that investment. Apps can suggest you where to invest. Now why you require an investment banker for that? Now banker is going to go out of job now. So that's what the new era is all about. So bioengineering and information technology will change the face of the earth. Now these are the 2 areas where things are going to have a maximum growth. Bioengineering and IT, information technology. Life expectancy, how it is going to be in future, we don't know. How the treatment is going to be done, we don't know. How the diplomacy, how the wars are going to be fought, we don't know. So therefore, when we don't know the future, how we are going to train our children? So that's the risk that we are running through. So in the 21st century, the challenge that we have is migration. In 19th and 20th century, there was a migration. The migration happened from village to city. So the people who could not find food at the village, they migrated to city. So when they migrated to the city, they had to learn a new skill to do a job. Textile mills were there in Bombay. They needed workers. The people from Nasik, Thana, and others, they traveled to Bombay. And now they learned the skill of working in the textile mills. And now they didn't change much after that. After learning a skill in textile, they worked in textile mill till their death. So migration was from village to city. And once they found the job, they didn't learn anything new. But now the migration is of a different type. Now the migration is to cyberspace. So from here to the cyberspace. What I mean to say is, if you learn a skill and start doing it, for example, video game. You are a video gamer. You design a video game and you learned the skill of developing a video game. You developed a video game, 1, 2, 3, you're doing very well, you're earning well. Suddenly, artificial intelligence challenge your job profile. Now, artificial intelligence is ready to program new video games. So now the company doesn't require you. Now you are out of the job. Now what to do? Now, what is required here is now a new lifestyle. A new lifestyle is, in the olden times, we had 2 phases of life. Phase 1, period of learning. Phase 2, period of working. So here you accumulate information, develop skills, and understand the world, and then you have identity of your own. Then period of working. You start working, learning, contribute to the society, contribute to the family. You start developing yourself. So period of working and period of learning. There are 2 phases of life. But now what happens is, period of learning, then there is a period of working. Once your job is gone, then again period of learning. Again period of work. Again, if it is gone, period of learning. You should not lose confidence or hope. So what we need to teach to our children is adaptability and confidence. If today my video gaming job profile is gone, means I'll go back to college, learn new skill, come back and earn and start different job. Now that is what is to be inculcated in the new generation. Earning and learning are intermingled. There is no 2 separate groups. They are together. So in my college, we have 3-year law course. And I get students who are already completed the degree. At least 7, 8 students in each class are elderly people. Elderly means they are in their 50s. They are back to college. They are learning. There is no compulsion for them to learn. They are interested in knowing. One might be having a case in the court. After seeing the exploitation from the lawyer, he want to see what actually the law is. Let me see, let me check. He has come there to learn. I appreciate these people's eagerness to learn. And mind you, please listen to me. These elderly people are first rankers in the class. Means they are not doing it for the time pass. They are seriously doing that course. And that is what is going to be norm in future. What we are seeing it as an exception. So this is about new migration. Now, understanding audience, I had asked a question. I'll again quickly go through this. What are the important skills the higher education must provide in this new age? Now see, creative, critical thinking, decision making, making collaborations. Now that's a very, very important and the skill which should be taught. Look at assertiveness, responsibility, self-management, communication skill, collaboration, independent work, critical. Everyone know what is to be done. Question here is, are we doing it? When I asked why you teach, many of you talked about passion and knowledge. When I asked the important skill required in the new age, you're talking about these things. Why there is a disconnect? You should be teaching to inculcate these things. So we know what to do, but we don't know how to do. Now that's where the problem lies. So if you again read the red one, the 21st century skills are life skills like self-awareness, effective communication, critical thinking, creative thinking, coping up with stress. Emotions are most important skills for the higher education. So if you look at these things, I look at it as the great understanding of the coming challenges. There is an absolute clear-cut understanding there. Look at the last one: flipped classroom, project-based learning, problem-based learning, design thinking, thinking-based learning, competency-based learning. These are great words, but it should not remain as a word. It should become part of your pedagogy. When you teach, you should inculcate these things. And the most important one is adaptive skills. They should adapt to new things. Eager to learn new things. Now that's a very, very important thing that should be taught to the students. Lateral thinking, parallel thinking, multitasking, ability, then critical thinking skills. So we are in the same line of thinking. We are actually know what to do, but are we doing it is a big question to be answered. And I am afraid that it is not being done. Now, before I move forward, let me give you some of the reasons why we are not doing it. Okay. One reason, we are overburdened with syllabus. We have to complete our syllabus, and completion of the syllabus is our primary duty. And that's the reason why we cannot get into all these activities. One very good reason. Second, the college doesn't allow for innovation and doing these things, because college is more interested in running the college as per the UGC rules and regulations. Next reason would be that for one we blamed UGC syllabus, another we blamed the college, now we blame the university. The fourth one is we blame the students. Students want to write exam and pass the exam. They are not interested in learning these things. So therefore, there is no scope for doing these things. We want to do it, but there is no scope for doing these things. So we blamed everyone, syllabus, college, students, except blaming ourselves. We blamed everyone. Now, how much of truth is there in this? I say 100%. Truth is there. I don't deny it. And I don't live in fool's paradise. There is a truth in this. But is there a way out? The answer is yes. You can always work around this and do it. And I'm not saying that you should do it with 100% success. Now look at Sugata Mitra, the professor which I was mentioning in the beginning of my lecture. He scored 30% success after first stage of his research work, experiment work. From 30%, he moved to 50%, and 50 to 76%. And he was happy with that. He never demanded 100% success. So even if you do something like this, and even if we could achieve only 20-25% of the success rate, we should be happy with that. It's not a failure. It's just that it needs to be improved upon. So therefore, your all frustration, blames are right. 100% right, and it is correct also. But they are not, that's not the reason to keep quiet. That's not the reason to say that nothing can be done. You have to work in this world, and the world is going to be like this, and it's going to remain like this. But we need to find the way through this. So that's why when I asked this question, that what are the skills required, you have a complete understanding. I think out of the 3 questions, this is the questions where I got most acceptable answers. When I asked why I teach, the answers were not that acceptable, but they were okay, they were fine. But when I asked this question, I am really understood that the crowd whom I am addressing are the crowd of 21st century. They are not from the past century or living fossils who are continue survive like a fossil. They know what they are doing. They know what is expected. So that's why I'm very happy with this audience. But only request is that try to implement your ideas. So coming back to this, now fault lines in our teaching. See, we know what to do. We know why to do. But are we doing it? No. The question here is what we are doing now. In 21st century, we are doing a job which nobody should be performing. Now that is providing information. So even today, we give information to the students. We give the name of the case, what was held in the case. See, this was very important when the information was scarce. You had to walk into libraries, search hundreds of books and find out the name of the case. The students would say that, why you are taking all that trouble? Go to Dr. Ash, she will tell you. That time they used to run to Dr. Ash and then ask her information. And if she provides, she is the great teacher because information is available offhand. But today, they need not even get up from their table. They'll just Google it, they find the name of the case. So information is not at all scarce. So you should not be end up giving information. So information is getting flooded everywhere. So that means we are walking on a fault line. Earlier, censor was to block information. Now the censor is hide the information. Now hide means what? Hide means what? So if there is an information which I want to block, if I block it, everybody knows that I'm trying to avoid this information to come out. So I allow that information to come out and I will flood with other informations where it gets lost. I remember a joke on the WhatsApp. So, you know, we are having a habit of having official group and unofficial group. I hope you are also might be having in the law school. We have an official group of all teachers where we discuss official things. And then we have an unofficial group where we comment on the official things. I think, yes, everyone is having that. I understand. So if by mistake you make a comment in the official group instead of unofficial group, you should not delete it. Because if you delete it, or maybe after 8 or 9 minutes, you cannot delete it also. Now what to do? Flood with other WhatsApp informations like good morning, good afternoon, great work, congratulations. So when you give 40, 50, 100 messages in that, your comment gets lost. So nobody will be able to trace it. That's how the censor works in today's world. Censors work by flooding you with information and not blocking it. And what we are doing in the class, we are again giving information. So Wikipedia, WikiLeaks, TED Talk, and Right to Information, this is available and information is given to everyone. Politics and science are the main areas or the pillars of the information where the whole world is overburdened with these two areas of information, politics and science. So therefore, what is the right path is not to give information, but and not to give determined skills, but to give something else. Let me take you to the right path. This is what we should be doing. We should be teaching 4 C's: critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. Please remember, we should kill the competition between the students, and we should encourage collaboration between the students. I suggest you not to congratulate first ranker, because the moment you start congratulating, the moment you start recognizing, you're building competition between the students. So what we need to build is the collaboration. I'll give you my today's incident. I went to a class and I was the first year, so they were doing moot court for the first time, and I was giving them orientation. So the problem on which they were supposed to argue, some of the students had already done research and attending my orientation. When I asked the question about which section the case is related to, they were reluctant to tell. Competition is the mindset. They're not ready to tell the sections, connected sections. But there was one person who didn't bother about competition. He started telling the sections. 304B of IPC. Then I wrote on the board immediately. Another fellow said 306, abetment to suicide. 498A. So slowly all started contributing to the discussions. Instantly the competitive classroom became collaborative classroom, and there was so much of discussion in the classroom. And who did it? It's not me. It's one person who did not believe in competition, changed the mindset of the whole class. And that small spark is required to change them. So collaboration is very important, and that is something we need to achieve without fail. So downplay technical skills and emphasis on general purpose of life skills. Now, technical skills. Now, this is something which I really don't understand why people keep so much of importance to that. One day I made an application and someone is saying that, sir, aap to signature to right side kiya, it should be on the left side of the paper. Left or right? Signature to hai. But technically I am wrong. I make an application, I don't know what is to be called as petition, application, claim, and they ridicule the lawyer, the youngster, for not knowing the technical word. But technical, it's at the end of the day, it's a technical thing, and it can be learned by anybody. So therefore, downplay those technical skills and emphasize on general purpose of life skill. Now, when I say life skill, adaptive skill is a life skill. Most importantly, ability to deal with change, learn and eagerness to learn new things, and maintaining mental balance in unfamiliar situations. These are the things to be taught. Now, how it is to be taught is keep saying this to them. So you push them into unknown areas, like say, for example, suddenly give them a Bare Act, ask them to read. And when they are reading the Bare Act, they don't understand head or tail, because law language is quite different from general English. So that time you should tell, I have pushed you into unfamiliar world. I know it, but keep trying. I know what you are doing is you have never done in your life. Keep doing it. So that's how they get ready for these unknown areas. So getting ready for the future would be, strangeness is going to be the new norm. Everything is going to be strange to you, but you need to deal with it. Past experiences becomes not a reliable guide. Past experience of humankind is of no use, because everything is going to be new. So people have to deal with something which they are never dealt in their life, like super intelligence, artificial intelligence, engineered body, algorithms, rapid climate change, etc., etc., etc. It's never ending line. So you need to deal with all these things. So why we stick to fault line and why we don't enter into new area is because it is easy for us to do. Without effortlessly we can give information because we already got it. So that's why we adopt easy method. So it is easy to teach the child to keep mental. It's not easy to teach the child to keep mental balance, but it is easy to teach equations, physics, and the causes for the world was. That's much easier to do it. So that's why I thank you for the opportunity given. I have 10 minutes time for question answers, if at all there are any. But I must thank everyone for giving me an opportunity and patient hearing to me. So what I have done till now is only dealing with the challenges of the 21st century. And I am aware about the drawback of this lecture, today's lecture. I told you the challenges, I have not given the solutions. I have not given solutions. Deliberately, I have not given solutions because it is your critical thinking which should come out with the solutions. So I request the organizers to keep this crowd interacting with each other, maybe through WhatsApp group and other things, share the experiences and continue doing experiments. Thank you very much. Yes, any questions are there to be asked? I would be happy to interact with that. Yes. Yes, Dr. Yash, you can take over now.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an insightful session. So we have a few questions in the chat box. First question is how to develop critical study amongst the students.
Now, Dr. Yash, before I answer this question, is the crowd all belong from legal education or they belong to different group?
So it's a mix of all the disciplines.
So that's a very good information for me. Okay, now when we are talking about the how to develop critical thinking among students, so the answer lies in the responses given by the participants themselves, because critical thinking can be inculcated by problem solving methods. So you have to give them the problems and then expect them to solve the problem, and through that you can bring in some level of critical thinking. So when you teach a subject, the subject should be taught not from the information point of view, but a debate point of view. So when you debate it, and then at the end of the chapter, convert the chapter into few problems, give them to solve the problem. So from a legal point of view, in a law schools, what happens is every chapter is nothing but a collection of sections, and each section create rights and duties. So what we can do is we can create problems on them and ask them to solve those problems. I know the present world is more practical than when we were students. They don't work until unless you give them incentives like marks or other things. So you need to work out some methodology in which the internal assessment would be done through these things. So definitely the critical thinking can be developed among the students. It's possible. And another very interesting thing, some of you have played video games. you must have realized that video games are not pleasant. They are very frustrating. And still we get addicted to the games. Don't you agree with me? See, once you progress from one level to another level, it becomes very difficult to move on. You keep failing. And as and when you keep failing, you try more and more. How failure is a motivation now? Very difficult to explain. And how these gamers could do something which we teachers could not do. So we look at it failure as a demotivating, but gamers look at as the failure as a motivation factor. How they achieve it? They achieve it because the incentive that they provide, the stars. You are qualified to the next round with 4 stars. They replay that stage because they want to progress only with 5 stars. So that is where you develop a critical thinking among students when you adopt these methodologies of problem solving as well as simulation exercises, your response to the situation. Once I had given a topic of a village panchayat with say 10,000 rupees to be spent. They got 3 applications. One application is for repairing of a well. Another application was repairing of toilet in the school. Third application was repairing for the road. Now, where you are going to spend this 10,000? You cannot use it for all 3. You can use it for only one. Give reasons. You should see the groups when I made into different groups, and each of them came up and they said that we are going to spend on this. This is why. They gave reasons for that. See, when they started giving reasons, we are forcing them to think critically, analytically, and provide convincing answers.
Thank you, sir. So the next question in line we have, what points according to you would be suggesting for the perfect role of university teachers in 21st century in relation to teaching and research work?
Okay, now when it comes to university teachers, so I understand university teachers means you're talking about teachers for PG, post graduation, and you are excluding the teachers of graduation courses. Maybe that's my understanding of the question. So if I look at this, perfect role of the teachers in the present century is not going to change, whether you are teaching in PG or you are teaching in UG. For me, your role is going to be, as a researcher, your role is going to be, rather than creating informations like I read 10 books, 20 cases, wrote an article. So this is informative article. So if I need to read about the topic, I don't need to read 10, 20 cases and 10 books. If I read your article, I get all the information from so many resources. So what you have done? You have done LMS, Learning Management System. So you have made my life easy because I need not go through all the things which the present artificial intelligence has been asked to do. Collect information 10 places, put it in one place. But as a researcher, your work should be towards idea generation. Your every article should come up with a new idea or evaluate the existing idea and confirm it or question it. It should be always critically acclaimed article. So collecting cases and writing what it says is of no use. What is required here is an article of a different level. That's as a researcher you should do. And as a teacher, your role, that's what I was talking about. You need to prepare your teacher, your students who are going to be the future teachers to be open to new technologies, new unfamiliar worlds, and work towards that. So that's what is required. I think your role as a researcher would be more appreciated because you need to create ideas for the new generation.
Yes, sir. So we will be taking up the last question from the chat box. So the question is whether for legal education, moot court competition is necessary to develop critical thinking.
Yeah, see, when you talk about moot court, see, again, I'll tell you, moot court is just a small part of a lawyer's life. Now, if you look at skills of the lawyer, moot court plays a role at the end of his case. So when he is arguing the matter, so that time his research, drafting, everything comes into picture. But before that, there are a lot more things, lot more skills that you need to harness. Now, when your profession as a lawyer becomes a successful profession, when you have client, and the client come to you only if you have good PR skills, public relations skills. That is oozing confidence into the person who's sitting across your table. That person should come out, should feel confidence in you. That's the time when he gives case to you. And then comes the second skill, collection of information, that is interview skill. Then comes counseling skill, and then comes research skill. So moot court is a last part of that, the whole activity. And now present day, the moot court that is going on, it's more of a skill which should not be done in the open court. It's not collection of hundreds of cases which gets you the trophy. It's how innovatively you treat the problem, how innovatively you approach the problem. That's where you succeed in the. Yes. Thank you.
So this marks the end of this session. So at the outset, I would like to extend my deepest regards and thanks to Dr. Babu Gowda Patil for sharing pearls of wisdom from his rich acumen. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation despite your busy and demanding schedule. This clearly shows your passion and dedication towards the profession. I also extend my heartfelt thanks to the team of Droid Team and Guru Angad Dev Teaching Learning Center for extending and teaching support. I thank all the participants for their active participation and patient listening. Once again, thank you very much. Have a beautiful evening ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks.